was recently reported that Bill Gates, besides creating this global Earth surveillance system and having contracts with the NYPD for mass surveillance, and then asking for privacy in his divorce, has become the largest landowner, I believe, in the United States. It's the largest landlord, largest owner of agricultural land. He also presides over the vaccine distribution system or program that the U.S. is employing, Gavi. His apparatchiks and people who came through the Gates network populate the World Health Organization. He's donating millions and millions of dollars to mainstream U.S. media organizations. He's regarded as sort of almost a scientific expert, whereas when Joe Rogan says something that might be seen as sensible about vaccination, Anthony Fauci comes out and condemns him as not a scientific expert. I don't even believe Bill Gates has a college degree. But I just was wondering, because of the dominant position that Bill Gates enjoys over all of these multilateral international institutions, as well as internally within U.S. domestic politics, where do you think he fits into your analysis of super imperialism?
Well, certainly the private sector is trying to merge with government to the largest extent possible. I think it's very interesting. What is the real effect of Gates's purchase of American land? What he's doing is not developing agriculture. He's poisoning the land that he's on. He's promoting the use of pesticides and herbicides that are destroying the soil quality of the land. If he were an agent of the KGB trying to destroy American agriculture to make it dependent on Russia's resurgence in agriculture, you couldn't ask for a better foreign agent, because the policies he's putting are so destructive of soil fertility, so destructive of the bee population, so destructive of the biological element of the soil. And in fact, Gates is making the same mistake with his foundation that Khrushchev made in Russian agriculture when he began to develop Siberia, thinking that would restore Russia's self-sufficiency in grain to get free of America's threats of a grain embargo. The development of Siberian land under Khrushchev worked very well for 3 years, and then it collapsed. Because again, they didn't use crop rotation, they didn't use natural fertilizers, they didn't use any replenishment of the soil. And the policy that Gates is promoting in agriculture is, instead of replenishing the soil, it's poisoning it. So probably you wouldn't, if you wouldn't want your worst enemy to be in charge of taking over American agricultural land, you wouldn't want him to have any role in that whatsoever. The fact is, he's really stupid. Once you get $100 billion, your IQ drops 30%. And so he's suffered from that. You want to just sort of belong. You're not the same person anymore. And once you inherit money, right there, your IQ goes down 20%. So now he's operating with 50% of an IQ. So of course, when you have his money wield influence over international organizations, you have a democracy taking over.
Well, how do you think that Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation fits into super imperialism in your analysis of U.S. control of the international financial system?
He is volunteering to get the support of the deep state by following policies that win the approval of the deep state. And essentially, he is the deep state, and imperialism is a mentality. And it's a technocratic mentality with the idea that all of the fruits of technology should be a kind of monopoly rent accruing to the financial sector. And he's bought into that mentality. And whether you're in the private sector or in the state, if you're into the rentier mentality, you're into the super imperialism mentality.
Well, do you also agree with the argument? It seems like Gates has invested not just billions of dollars, but really his life into what seems like the privatization of the global public health system. I mean, the Gates Foundation is one of the principal funders of the World Health Organization. This is not a state. This is a foundation run by a single capitalist.
Well, he made his money in his computer system by having a monopoly power. And what bigger monopoly can you have than a monopoly over healthcare, saying your money or your life? So of course he puts his money as a natural extension of having his word monopoly. It's the same mentality of trying to create a privatized monopoly to prevent healthcare from being offered freely. To say it has to be, every public utility, from education to healthcare to transportation, has to be offered at cost, and that cost will include a profit, and in fact, whatever the market will bear for economic rent and dividends and management fees and consultant fees, and until it all looks like the military-industrial complex applied to the hitherto public sector.
Well, and also, as you mentioned, the microloans, the privatization of public education through charter schools, the cash-free system that he and other global oligarchs like Pierre Omidyar are trying to implement in places like India, where they're trying to get the rural poor out of the cash system and get them in debt, and then I guess move them off their land. And we've seen suicides and social catastrophe already as a result of the implementation of this system. And now Gates's obsession with vaccination and openly stating that he does not want to remove patents. He is obsessed, along with the U.S. government that represents his interests and the interests of big pharma, with protecting the intellectual property, potentially at the peril of global health. And then, Pfizer announced that it sees a massive profit potential in the vaccination of children as young as 2 years old with these experimental mRNA vaccines. So the CDC goes ahead and licenses that, or is planning to license that. So it's pretty obvious what's taking place.